Dr. Peter Weinstein is dual degreed and has been the executive director of the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association for the last 12 years. In addition, he has been the owner of Paw Consulting for the last 25 years, and most recently, president of Simple Solutions for Vets. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for the opportunity to chat with you.
Well, we're very excited to talk about a lot of different topics in practice management. What's upcoming at WVC this year for you?
I have a number of topics that mostly focus around systems and processes. I'm fortunate enough to have been able to write the E-Myth Veterinarian with Michael Gerber, which talks about why many small businesses, specifically veterinary hospitals, fail. And I'm a big advocate for instituting systems in practice so we can provide a consistent client experience, patient experience, and staff experience. And those are where my topics will focus. But many of my colleagues in the practice management realm will be there to help practices become more successful in bringing on people, hiring, retaining, and training staff. The same thing for veterinarians, as well as the economics of veterinary practices and the accounting of veterinary practices, because many practices are reaching a point in time where they want to be sellable. Many practices are just getting started and they want to set a good foundation for the future. So by attending the practice management tracks at WVC coming up, I think all of the practices can become ultimately more successful, and success tends to make life a little bit easier and decreases the stress that we're all feeling.
We talk a lot about all of the veterinarians that are looking for jobs, and they may have 5 or 10 or even 15 job offers out there. How does a practice make itself attractive so that it's distinguished and unique and really the top of that applicants list?
Absolutely good, great question, because not only are we looking at the top of the applicants list in 2 different ways. We've got corporate practices and we've got independent practices. And so both of those are competing for the same applicant. And the corporations bring an entire pool of different things to the table, some of which is money, some of which is benefits. The independents can compete by culture, by team feel, by leadership, by relationships. And so as an individual looking for a new job or a first job, I think it's very important that they understand that the practice culture will go a long way in how they feel comfortable within the practice. So as a hospital owner trying to position my hospital as an employer of choice, I would want to integrate my entire team in the hiring process so that this new applicant feels that this is a team-based delivery of health care and they're not going to just be dependent upon one person, and that the mentoring may not come just from the owner, but the mentoring will come from the entire team. So it's great to have the interview maybe done as a group interview where the practice manager has got a component and a head technician and a head receptionist, as well as maybe associates doctors, are all sitting there with an applicant so they can get a feel for the practice. It's not just the clinical delivery of medicine, it's the personal delivery and creation of relationships that a hospital can sell when it comes to selling the sizzle. It is Hollywood now. I mean, you've got to put on your best show to be able to capture and compete on not just an economics standpoint, but on a feel standpoint. So that's how I look at explaining it, just sell the sizzle.
And the applicant looks different today,
Yes.
right? I mean, we have a whole millennial population of graduates, and there's a lot more focus on work-life balance and, as you called, the preferred life, right, and your professional life. So what do we need to do to target that population differently and kind of think more out of the box if the practice has been doing the same or offering the same for many, many years?
Yeah, Marshall Goldsmith wrote a great book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And so when I was applying for positions, or even when I was interviewing, and we were looking to hire for 5-day work weeks, 60-hour weeks, that just doesn't sell these days. That's Volkswagen Beetle in a world of Teslas. So we really need to look at what people are looking for and start to accommodate our work schedules to meet the needs of others and not just our needs. So what's wrong with hiring 2 people for 3 days a week to be 1 full-time equivalent? What's wrong with hiring an AM veterinarian and a PM veterinarian that are each working half-time to cover the necessary shifts? There's a lot of benefits if you think about it. When one goes on vacation, the others might be able to extend their work hours to cover and vice versa. Some of the benefits that an independent can offer when it comes to finding associates is that flexibility. Independents, because they are independent, can offer a flexibility and to think differently that maybe a corporate doesn't have from that standpoint. So if you really want to be different, you have to think different, and you've got to give a cultural change within your practice that accommodates what the new group of veterinarians are looking for, which isn't necessarily what I was looking for or what you were looking for when we went through the interview process. And how do you know what that is? You ask. What are you looking for in your practice? Now, if an applicant doesn't know, that puts you at an advantage. If they do know, it puts you in an advantage as well, because now you can try to cater to what they're actually looking for and maybe give them the answers that they're looking for that nobody else can.
So let's flip sides.
Okay.
And you're the graduate that's been out a year. And the first year in practice is always challenging no matter where you are,
Absolutely.
right? How do you know if you're just going through the normal challenges of first year or that this job isn't right for you?
How do you know if the job isn't right for you? Well, if you get up in the morning with a headache and a stomach ache and you really don't want to get out of bed and you hit the snooze button a couple of times too many, maybe it's not the right job. If you're getting out of bed and you're still excited about going to work, then why change? You know, why not have a conversation with your owner manager and say, listen, I really love being here, but, and work out whatever differences that might be there. If the changes are too daunting or if your discomfort level is too high, then it's probably time to look. Life is too short to continue to subject yourself to getting up in the morning in an uncomfortable and unhappy situation, especially since right now we have a lot more jobs than we have applicants. It's really a buyer's market if the buyer is the applicant from that standpoint. I think we if I'm speaking as a new applicant, I think we need to do our own due diligence. We need to test drive the car, for lack of a better way to put it. And I always suggest doing some relief shifts, looking at how it is working with the team members, looking at medical record keeping, looking at how the phone is answered, looking at the relationships that are built. I think we need to kick some tires. I think we need to look for skeletons in the closet. And I need to make sure that if you're going to make a change, you're not going to make a change that'll lead to a worse situation, but you're always making a change for the better. And I think one of the things that new job seekers need to do is have a personal vision. What are you looking for in your next job? What are you looking for down the road? And where do you see yourself 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road? I think a lot of us go through life just driving in circles, or like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day. We get up, we do the same thing, we go home, we do the same thing, and we never get past neutral. We got to start putting our car in park and looking through the windshield.
And I mean, we could go on for hours. Unfortunately, We're running out of time, but
Sure.
you have a very interesting perspective on money and specifically debt, right? And we said that a lot of the applicants, money is an important thing. It may not be the only thing they're looking for in a job, but a lot of them are graduating with this really heavy debt load. So I'd love to hear, again, that perspective on what you're counseling these new graduates to kind of how to balance that new first job and their debt load and how to keep perspective.
Well, I think money is a cause for tremendous amounts of stress. It's stress to the owner of the hospital, and it's stress to the associate in terms of generating income to validate their position within the practice. And then that money is then used to help pay for lifestyle. I have a daughter who is not in the veterinary industry, but the first thing we did with her after she graduated from undergrad is we hooked her up with a financial planner. And they started right after graduation taking parts of her paycheck and investing that money so down the road she can have a foundation. I think vet students and new graduates can do that as well. I think you have to learn how to live within a budget. OMG, budget. Yes, a budget. Put Mint on your phone. Get Quicken on your computer and start to learn how that dollar gets spent. It's way too easy to go buy a Louis Vuitton bag instead of putting that money into an investment. So I think money, if I were to make any suggestion to a new and recent graduate, create a success team that includes an accountant, a financial planner, and a personal consultant, aka a family member or friend, who can be there to help you and answer those questions. Money shouldn't be a stressor if you have people to help you answer those questions. So find a good financial planner that can help you understand how to take that $250,000 in debt and pay it off sooner, or make sure that at the end of the road, you've put money in the bank, you've paid off your debt, and you can live the lifestyle to which you want to live at. So find that good financial planner and resource.
Fantastic tips, personally and professionally, for our new applicants and also for our practices who are looking for those great applicants to come join their team. We look forward to hearing what you have at WVC, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.